Hello and welcome to another episode of Behind the Building podcast. Today we have Arianna DeVoe, who is a facilities operations manager at the Harvard Medical School, with us today. So welcome Arianna, welcome Jeff. How's it going, guys?
Good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so Ariana, we'll start off. We obviously want to hear more about what you do and how you got there. So if you want to start us off by just giving a maybe how you got into your role now and what you do.
Yeah, so I am a facility operations manager at Harvard Medical School, where I oversee a group of research buildings that support active science. So on paper, my job is to make sure the buildings run, but in reality, I think it's more controlled chaos. Um, we support labs with live experiments, a lot of sensitive equipment, animals, so the stakes are incredibly high there.
Mm,
If anything shifts, it's really not just a comfort issue for us. It will impact research, safety, funding, literally everything. People's life
mm,
work is there. Um,
mm,
so my day is really a mix of technical problem solving, rapid decision making. I coordinate with vendors. I work with engineers. I communicate with our occupants. I plan shutdowns, respond to emergencies.
mm.
Sometimes that happens all at once.
Yeah.
So the goal really is that no one notices us if we're doing our job well.
Mm,
But there's a lot of movement, a lot of pressure, keeping these really complex systems safe because we can't afford the instability.
yeah.
And I don't think I ever meant to end up here. Growing up as a little girl, I don't think I was like, oh, I want to be a facilities operations manager.
Mm,
I didn't even know what facilities was. But when I was younger, I started as an admin at a plumbing company.
mm.
And I really loved it. And I think it's so weird that you fall in love with, pipe and systems. But
Yeah.
I did. So that's what started this whole thing. It started my career.
That's
So
awesome. Yeah.
yeah, it was great.
I will say after, all the facilities people that, we speak with, we understand there's never a boring day. Whether that's, a good thing or a bad thing. So it's always you're always on to the next. So I'm sure that makes it fun.
Yeah, no 2 days are ever the same,
Mm,
and I love that. I don't really spend a lot. I think a lot of people think facilities is like I'm out there fixing things, and really, that's not a majority of my job. Um,
mm.
Most of it is decision making and communication and risk management. And
Yeah.
if we're doing it right, it's preventative.
Yeah. Yeah, so to go off that too, like the preventative care, what are some things that, or what are some systems that people might take advantage of or, take for granted, like that you've seen?
Honestly, the BAS system, the building automation system,
Mm,
to me, it's like the brain of the building. I think a lot of people think like HVAC is just air moving through ducts, and don't realize that there really is an entire system behind it, monitoring the temperature, the pressure, the airflow, the humidity. And that system is making changes in real time.
mm,
So there's sensors everywhere, and if the brain of the building misfires, everything downstream will react, and you will notice something's off. So
mm.
it's invisible until it's not.
Yeah.
And you mentioned for the BAS system, is that just have to do with HVAC or is it a wide variety of different things in the building?
It's mostly HVAC. We have the humidity, the temperature. That's things that I can all see real time.
Mm. Yeah, so you mentioned that. What else would, attribute to like a well-run building? Like what requires behind the scenes? You obviously mentioned that, and you mentioned, communication's a big thing. What are some other things that you would kind of accredit to running that?
I think preventative maintenance is so underrated, and with all the emergencies and reactive work orders, I think it can
Mm,
be really easy to overlook it, but they should be completed on time. You should know what's happening this week, this month, this quarter. If those things aren't getting done, you're going to end up with a problem. You'll have repeat failures. You don't want to react in this situation. You just
mm.
You shouldn't have to react if you're doing your job well.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, we see in roofing, we see that a lot too. Is a lot of people reactive in facilities rather than proactive, and I think that's a huge key to any job in facilities is to make sure that you are proactively seeking out and like you said, knowing what's going on this week, what's going on in a quarter, and then knowing what I have to do in the next couple of years, even.
Yeah, we actually just um, installed vibration monitors for vibration analysis on our pumps, so we can see when something's going on, something changes, something shifts. We're able to detect that early now, and a lot of the time, pumps are installed at the same time, so you can actually predict when the pump installed at the same time may also fail or run into the same issue. I think that's been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, technology now it's crazy what you can do.
Yeah, the continuous monitoring from, AI and the pattern recognition, it it's it's changing quickly, very quickly. I'm not sure that we're up to speed with AI yet.
No. No, yeah, for
I
sure.
think it's the tip of the iceberg, probably, as far as where
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
are with AI. But I know for me, it
Yeah.
helps me a ton. How do you utilize AI?
You guys are gonna laugh if I tell you.
It's okay.
Because it's literally the most ridiculous thing.
Oh, I'm sure we do the
So
same.
I don't ever actually have to dig too far into AI. A lot of our engineers use the vibration analysis, and then when it comes to fixing it, they'll come to me and we'll come up with a game plan. I use it the most when I need, again, you're gonna laugh, when I need to soften my tone with people. I literally write an email and it's a little rough because I come from a project management background
Mm.
where I'm dealing with contractors, and it's a lot different than when you're dealing with the occupants. So I constantly have to soften my tone with people, and I do plug it in to AI, and it helps me out with that. That is may not be the answer you wanted, but that's what we're
No.
using it for over here.
No, I think that's good. I think that's I do that a lot too. I whenever I'm writing an email or trying to make a call and I want to sound, I'm the same way. I started my sales career in hardware sales, so I was doing the same thing. I was talking to contractors a lot. I was talking to, people who were on the lumber yard and all this stuff. So they didn't care, and you kind of just said things how they were.
Yeah, it's
So
so different. And
yeah.
especially, not to bring up the woman card, but being a woman in this industry is
Mm.
in itself difficult. So then you feel like you have to have this other level of, heightened response when you're speaking to subcontractors, because who wants to listen to a 23-year-old girl?
Hmm.
Not that I'm 23 anymore, but when I was,
Mm.
nobody, she doesn't know anything. She doesn't want to listen. So, um,
Yeah.
I'm notorious for having a harsher tone than I should.
Well, hey, that's a good. I mean, like you said, it's to laugh at, but also it's. I mean, we all do it, right? We all use AI for some crazy things that it helps us, whether it's tone or just Sometimes I just write an email and I'm like, make this sound a little bit better.
I hope you change it first, though, because have you ever gotten an email from somebody and you're like, that's ChatGPT?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
100%. They even leave the dashes in there, like that they're
Yeah.
notorious for. Yes, so I do hope you take those out before you send that email.
Yeah, I typically edit a lot of it. It just helps me like really like get my brain started because I'm one of those people who to get started is super hard for me on
Yeah.
anything. But then once I get going, it's like I'm good now. So,
Yeah. And it's really good. What I have used it for that's helpful is after an incident, so a flood, anything that really impacts our building, I do have to write incident reports.
Hmm.
mm,
These are very, very lengthy. We're talking 10 to 15 pages of cause and effect and risk and mitigation efforts. It really helps me organize my thoughts
mm,
when I'm telling it what happened, and it breaks it down for me. So I think it's a great tool when you can't fully make sense of something.
for sure.
Yeah, we use it in. Actually, I used it today for something similar. It was for a government bid, and they had all these intense requirements about like a narrative statement and then a project timeline and things like that. And I gave it, a few sentences, the general idea, and it was able to compile it into something that made sense and was more what they were looking for. So I use it for that kind of thing all the time.
Yeah, it's super helpful, and I think we'll see a lot of it in work orders coming up. We do. That's how our buildings run. We have work order systems, and then we have in-house technicians, so HVAC, steam fitters, sprinkler fitters, plumbers, and they have a tablet and they go out and they write the notes. And a lot of these guys are older, so they're not super great at technology. Not all of them. Some are really good. It just depends.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's been really helpful because it's very here it is. Here's what you need to do. You hit the next button, and it can fill in a majority of that stuff for you.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's massive. We do the same kind of thing for inspection reports for roofing. We have snippets that we can just kind of attach, and once we make one, it's there forever. So as time grows, less you have to actually write it, and you can say, okay, this applies to this. We can attach that to this photo. It makes things so much quicker.
Yeah, yeah, it does. I think it'll be a game changer as long as we get it right.
Yeah.
Because I've had guys use the voice to text and they forget, and then all of a sudden you hear a radio commercial in the background, and it might not be the most appropriate thing,
Yeah.
and gotten sent out to someone,
Yeah.
and you're like, oh God. Hopefully we're just double checking it.
Yeah. My mother does that all the time. She uses the speak to text, and then it comes through, and it's like half of it's like her talking to my dad, and I'm like, okay.
My mom does it too, and it always says sent with Siri at the bottom, and I'm like, that's why it makes zero sense.
Exactly.
That's good. Yeah, so going off that too, I know you mentioned, the importance of taking care of things quickly and using these types of systems in place to help you because of the buildings that you run, matter and help protect people's work and I mean, even just the people themselves. So would you want to touch a little bit more on just the emergency side of that and what it kind of looks like in your world?
Yeah. Emergencies, I caught on very quickly to them. I think we had 3 in my first 6 months, like catastrophic. I have a great team, so thankfully, they backed me and they supported me. But it forced me to learn quickly. So I always remind myself to stay very calm, first of all, because anything you feel, you're going to pass on to the occupants and everyone else. And people are looking at the leadership's tone. So if they're panicked, it's going to travel down the line. So it's chaos, but it's also very quickly, what am I doing next? I think it's sort of, there's like competing priorities when you're dealing with an emergency. You don't really have time to think. You have to assess it, contain it, escalate it, and then communicate it. It's very procedural. So it shouldn't, although it is chaos, it shouldn't feel like chaos. It should feel like a sequence. And I think once you do that a few times, you get pretty used to it pretty quickly. But it's always, for me personally, it's like life safety, obviously always first, containment, stabilization, documentation, and then restoration. It's kind of the 5 things I live by that really set the tone when there's an emergency and how I'm going to deal with it.
And are those steps written out? Like you have an emergency preparedness plan or something that you've compiled?
Yeah. We actually have an emergency bag, and within that bag, we have vests. So depending on the type of emergency, if you need to find someone, a lot of the times the buildings have to be evacuated. So we're wearing this, bright neon vest that says we work for Harvard and we're here to help. And it has all our SOPs in it, anything you can think of. So from bad weather to tornadoes to hurricanes, we're very SOP oriented. So within that bag, there's hundreds of SOPs. You can't go wrong. And I think that has made everybody so prepared, even if you're brand new.
And I think that's the important part of facilities and that type of thing is going back to the proactive topic. Like when you're proactive like that and you have those things, it makes those emergencies, although they are chaotic and out of the blue, it makes it easier and easier. And like you said, like after each one, you're like, okay, we have more of a grasp on this, and we can make sure that the safety of our people is top priority.
Yeah, and I will say, I love Harvard. It's the most amazing place I've ever worked, but they are so prepared. Overly prepared, and I think when you work there, you also learn how to be overly prepared and ready for anything that comes your way. So it's really just about where you work and who you surround yourself with that kind of embeds that in you, and you follow suit very quickly. I think I got like 3 massive books when I first started that had like every rule, every SOP,
Wow.
like the history of the university. Super overwhelming, but also I still look at those books, so they do come in handy.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And so you think that's a good thing then, to be really standardized and have a methodical approach to emergencies or just facilities work in general?
Yeah, I think you should at least have the backbone. You shouldn't go in there blind. Especially for me, we have 4 facility operations managers that are spread across all our buildings. So if we were all doing something a little bit differently, it's just not going to work.
Yeah.
So you have this great backbone, and then of course you personalize everything. A lot of people handle things different ways, but there should be some rubric that you're going in there with.
Yeah, to your point too, it's the communication that really makes a great team. And I think you mentioned that earlier. So would you want to expand on that more too? Like you mentioned, you had a great team, you love the people you work with. How does that attribute to that?
So our team, I can't tell you enough great things about my team. They're amazing. We have a meeting every morning where we review our daily plan, which I think is incredible. So everyone's on the same page. We probably have too many meetings, if I was being honest. But I'm a big over communicator with my team, with the occupants. I want you to have more information than you need, so you can never say, I don't know. And, you might say you don't know an answer to a question. That's totally fine. But I want you to know what I'm doing, where I'm at, where the building's at, what's going on today. And that really allows us to all just work together so easily because we're all on the same page. Nobody's wondering, what Bob over there is doing. We know what Bob's doing, and we can help Bob because we've already prepared for it. So again, the preparedness again kind of comes into play.
Yeah, it's good.
It's a lot.
Yeah.
A lot of meetings,
Right.
a lot of preparedness, but I will say it pays off. It really does. I've never had so many meetings in my life.
Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, you said you were an over communicator, and I think that's I think that's a good thing, in my opinion. I not only just in my career, but I coach basketball in the winter, and we tell the kids. I've told the students that I've coached for years, like, be an over communicator, right? Like you may seem like you're calling out something that it's obvious, but when you talk more, you're going to win more games, you're going to get more stops, you're going to score more points. It's like you can never communicate too much. I mean, and so it's like I think that's a great thing.
And I think it builds trust, which is sort of my soft skills, I think, are what's excelled me in my career and how I deal with the occupants. And that really all stems from communication and how you communicate. So it's just so underrated.
Yeah.
I've worked with project managers in my previous role who have been incredible at their job. I mean, really great, but they have 0 soft skills. And it shows.
Yeah.
They're not going as far as they should be because they don't know how to communicate with others.
Yeah.
It's funny how nicely this conversation ties in with a recording we had the other day. We were talking to someone that's in leadership, and as he progressed throughout his career, he talked about how the best leaders that he worked with were people that had really clear expectations for the people that worked with them, and talked about how they over communicated and were just very clear as far as expectations.
Yeah, and I think my leaders right now that I have, they are that way. You know, they may give you a task and you'll complete that task and you'll bring it back to them, and they'll tell you straight up, no, this is wrong and this is why it's wrong, and I want you to go back and I want you to fix it. You're never questioning what you need to do, or how to do it, because they are so clear. And these are by far the best leaders I've ever worked with. I feel supported, and it makes my life a lot easier because you're not guessing what you need to bring to them or what your work should look like. You can't mess it up because they tell you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, one of the quotes that always sticks in my head, I forgot who said it to me, but it was basically like confusion equals chaos. And it's like when you don't know what you're doing, like you could be the best at it, but like you said, if it's not clearly communicated, then it just leads to chaos. And especially in facilities and operations and in all these things, like chaos is already the norm. So to add more chaos to it is like that's not a good combo.
Yeah, it's so funny. I'm taking my MBA right now, and there's this whole class right now on management, and just they're talking about middle managers and senior leadership, and how when a group of people leave, it's more contributed to senior leadership. That's what the whole class is about, just management and leadership. And it's crazy how you tie it all back to like situations you've been in or companies you've worked for, and how true it is. And I'm very big on like, I don't think you need college to be successful, but the class is unmatched, and I'm like, oh, it makes sense that my boss has his MBA, right? Because he's doing these things, and he must have really paid attention because he's spot on.
Yeah. Where are you doing that?
Southern New Hampshire University.
Oh, cool. Nice.
Oh, nice.
I'm actually doing mine at BU right now online, and it's
No
been very
way.
interesting. Yeah.
My coworker's there too, and my other coworker graduated from there. I think one is doing facilities management, and one did project management. But it's, you know, one of those things where I like my MBA because it really is more of like a leadership degree for me, where I feel like the technical things you can learn. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with like IFMA. They hold a ton of training. It's the International Facilities Management. You can learn it in the field, and you're going to pick up on it quick, but I think it's really hard to be a good leader. And
Yeah.
although, you know, I am not one to say I learn really well out of a textbook, the MBA has been invaluable so far. I think I have 2 classes left, but it's been pretty solid for an anti-college person.
Yeah, I love the idea of continuing to learn, right? And whether it's through school or if being, working with someone that has more experience with you, just the idea of continuing to get better and learn a little bit more about what you do and perfecting yourself over time is fun for me.
No, I completely agree. When I was getting into the industry, it was right as I was becoming a project manager. I don't know if I told you guys my background before this, but before I was a facilities manager, I was a project manager for New England's largest mechanical contractor. So right before I did that, I ended up going to get my construction supervisor license. I think because I thought it would help me in my role, and I can't say it helped me in that role because it was mechanical, but it was actually it was great. It was a great learning experience, and now it helps because I can read the code books and understand where my buildings might violate things. But I agree with you on the learning. You should constantly be taking trainings, going to events, networking, all of that. You can't. It's unmatched. You have to do those things in this industry because it is so small.
That's a good point. And do you have? Oh, sorry, Jacob.
Oh, go ahead. No.
Do you have to do certain continuing education or anything for your job, like through the organization you mentioned earlier?
So for IFMA, if you are a certified facility manager, you do have to have certain hours of continuing education. It's very easy though. You could take classes, right through them or really anywhere, and it counts as a credit. For the construction supervisor, you have to take classes every 2 years and catch up with the code. And then through Harvard, you're not required to take any classes, but it's good because things are constantly changing, and they offer so many courses within Harvard, and then they have this really amazing reimbursement program, or you could go to the extension school and you can get classes there for like pennies on the dollar. So you would almost be silly not to take it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And to our point too earlier about how everything is continually growing and just like changing constantly. Like if you're not doing the same, like you're just falling behind. Especially in a role like that where codes are changing and it's things that matter to safety and to operations. You got to be continually educated and like you said it. I'm the same way about college. I enjoyed my experience. But I feel like you could learn anywhere, right? Like, and the classes are awesome. I think the things that I learned the most were doing, just living life alongside other professionals, and doing those networking things like you mentioned, and just talking to people who have a ton of experience. And a lot of my professors were those people. Like professors in my program were entrepreneurs or just business leaders, and just talking with them and hearing their experience, I was like, oh man, like it's a simple conversation, but I learned so much, So to your point, it's like we got to keep learning, and you'd be kind of dumb not to continue on with your education, no matter what it is.
Yeah, and it's funny you say that because talking to people is actually almost how I got started at Harvard. I worked there as a project manager, and I met a facilities operations manager, and I was really intrigued by what they did. And I said, how did you get here? Like, what were the steps you took? And full circle moment when, after I was hired at Harvard, he ended up leaving and I took his role. So it's kind of cool, but it's just the small conversations you have that are so important. And people really, I don't think we're talking enough anymore. With social media and texting and all of that, I don't think people are taking advantage of what's right in front of them and the resources they have.
Yeah, you can never undervalue a good, even a phone call, because you're right. I mean, emails and texts are like king right now, but it's like I don't get me wrong. Sometimes it's just like I'd like to send a text and move on, but a lot of times it's like, man, even if you don't feel like it, talking to someone and having that connection is just going to bring a lot of value to your life.
Yeah, and you're not as memorable, I think, if you're just texting someone or emailing someone. You really want to pick up the phone and make that personal connection. And I'll say it all day long. It's part of your soft skills and what's going to make you successful ultimately. And you want people to remember you in a positive way. You don't want to just be another inbox message that you have to deal with on Monday morning. So I think that's incredibly important.
For sure.
Yeah, I think so too. I feel like anything that you do in life, whether it be work or your family life or hobbies, it just all kind of comes back to the relationships that you have with people. And the only way to build those is to talk to them, right? And to spend time with people and to network and all of those things. So I just think that's incredibly important too.
Yeah, and I think, again, going back to, the occupants I have, I think that's part of the reason why I'm so successful is building the relationships with them. And for them, it's not just a building. And a lot of the time, I think facility managers get hung up on the fact that this is just a building and it's just a system. So what I did when I first started was I went into each of their labs. Now we have multiple labs. It's not just one building with the same lab. We have hundreds of labs in our space. And I went and I learned what they did. And I learned what's really important to them. I learned about their research and their grants, and if I interrupt this system, what does that do to you and how does it impact you? And I essentially just immersed myself in their work for a little bit, as best as I knew how, because I don't know too much about it. And that really, really helped, because now it's more than just a building. It's people in the building, and they're literally their life work. And you don't want to mess that up once you know that it could be someone's job or grant or publication. So, yeah, I would recommend that if you work in any place that has occupants, is figure out what they're doing and what's important to them and why.
Yeah, I think that's like key to, even us as roofers or, facilities or whatever it may be. Like it's easy to get into that mode where it's like, oh, this is just a roof, and it's like, no, this is protecting someone's work. This is protecting someone's family, or their resources and wealth. And so it's easy to get into. It's like, oh, this is just an HVAC system, but no, it's a building that has people's, like you said, lifetime work and their careers on the line, or maybe their whatever it may be that's valuable to them. And so to put a face to that, I think that's key, and I think that's the reason we wanted to kind of start a podcast like this, and to talk to people like you, is to hear those stories and be like, oh yeah, this is the facilities job, and jobs like this and operations are. There's a lot of hands-on stuff, but it's really just understanding what you're protecting and how you're doing it.
I will say, I love this idea of a podcast. When I was offered my position, like I know what a facilities operations manager is, right? I work there, I know, but you don't know. So I was on Apple Music and Spotify, and I was typing in like, what does a facility operations manager do? And I was looking for podcasts, and all that ever came up was like engineering. And that's great because we do use that a lot. But there was nothing where somebody sat there and said, this is what I'm doing day to day, and this is what you can expect. And I really needed it at the time. So I love that you guys did this. That's why I jumped at the opportunity. I was like, hell yeah. Like, this is great. I hope this helps someone else out who's like, I want to do this, but I don't know what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm the same type of way. Like I just got into roofing not too long ago. And same thing, I wanted to see, what is roofing? It seems, like obviously like it's over my house, but what goes into it? And now that I'm in it, and I'm like, oh man, this is a lot of stuff. And I listen to different podcasts of people or videos of people explaining things, and I'm like, there's a lot of intricate details that you wouldn't know unless you hear it from someone that has the experience,
Yeah. And, roofing, it's one thing, but again, it's so important, and people don't realize how, just a roof. Well, if you're in a home, that's somebody's stuff in there. And if that roof goes, and I can tell you firsthand because my mom's roof caved in at her house, she lost a lot of valuable things. Not valuable in terms of money, in terms of, her wedding dress and family photos, because it was raining and it ruined everything. Or if you're in a, an occupied building that's commercial, you're not only ruining the roof, but then you've got the HVAC system. God forbid you set off a sprinkler pipe. Yeah. There's so much that goes into it. It's not just a roof or just a wall or an electrical outlet. And people don't, I don't think they realize that until they really do get into like the nitty gritty of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point. And two, what you were saying earlier about when you were kind of exploring the idea of getting into the field, what are the things, or a thing or two maybe, that you didn't know back then, but you wish you did when you were starting and trying to get into facilities?
I wish I knew that I didn't have to know everything. And I don't know if it's just me as an overachiever, or if a lot of other people feel like when they take on a new role or maybe change careers, they need to know everything. You don't. You're going to pick up on it so quickly. And I wish I'd given myself a little bit more grace, because I spent a lot of time stressed out and literally like highlighting piping on our floor plans because I felt like I needed to know every pipe within our building. You don't. You're going to be fine. You're going to learn it, and you're, hopefully you're going to be good at it if you go into that career. But I think that's huge, is you don't need to know everything. And, yeah, I maybe would have taken the jump sooner if I had known that. And then I think, I know you guys are going to have to give me a second. You can edit this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
What do I wish I knew sooner? I guess I wish I knew that it wasn't just technical. Again, rolling back into the soft skills, I think I wish I knew how much of a relationship you have to build, and it's not an instant thing. It takes years to build the relationships for people to trust you
Mm.
with your research and with their building. So it's not an instant thing, and it's incredibly important. And if you miss that step, you're kind of screwed. So
Yeah. Yeah, I
even
was gonna.
like as a roofer, right? Like you're working on, are you commercial or residential?
Both.
Both.
Okay, right. So you're working on someone's home that they've put their life savings into. They have to trust you to some extent. So you
Hmm.
have to even then find a way to build that trust. I hope, but I think
Yeah.
that's the basis of
Yeah.
everything.
That's key. I mean, I think both those things are so vital. I think the first thing you said was awesome because I think that's what holds a lot of people back from doing anything is like, oh, I need to know everything. I need to make sure I don't want to look like I don't want to look like the person that knows the least or. But then when you just jump in and you learn it, most of the time those are the people that are most successful because they are so eager to learn and know it, and you just jump in and do it. And that's kind of how I was here too at the roofing. I didn't know much, and at first I was like, I need to know more. But as Jeff and there were other workers there that I knew, were like, no, you'll be fine. Just just keep wanting to learn. And I was telling Jeff today I had an appointment earlier this morning, and it was just like they were asking me questions, and I was just like rapid firing answers, and I was like, I didn't even know I knew all that.
Right? Isn't it crazy how one day someone asks you a question and all of a sudden you're like, oh wait, I know that. Like
Yeah.
I could answer that. It's super crazy when we have like big emergencies and we have to speak to like leadership. I'm talking like dean level leadership, like not just my
Mhm.
boss. How quickly we realize we know things because
Yeah.
you want to get it right and you're like, wow, I guess I did know that. Um, yeah, so I think it's all about like the on-site learning, and
Yeah.
that's the only way you're going to pick it up is if you just dive in.
Yeah, and to your second point too, it's the relationships aren't going to be built in a day, and you got to have that trust. And I think that's vital too. And anything is, take that extra time to make that connection. Like you said, you went in there and you were like, okay, what does your job entail? Like, what does this mean to you? And I think that extra time, may seem like, oh, they don't care, but it's like, no, I think it makes a difference and makes such an impact on everything that you do. You know.
Yeah, I think not everyone is going to genuinely care about their job and what they do. Um, and maybe you're in the wrong field if you don't feel that way. Because I genuinely love my job and care about what I do. Um, but, you know, in facilities, you're kind of like the messenger between like engineering and vendors and construction workers and then like researchers. And everybody speaks really differently. So they have to trust you when you're telling them what these other people mean by what they're saying. And if you again you don't have that, you're screwed.
Hmm.
That's a really good point too. I never thought of how facilities managers are kind of like a liaison between the occupants and then the construction companies or vendors and engineers and building departments for cities, things like that, and how they all speak really differently is a good point because you have to know how to speak to your audience correctly, right, and make it make sense.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, if I just sent them an email that the construction team would send, they would look at me like I'm crazy. They're like, "What's a soffit? Like,
Yeah.
what's that?" And so you have to really put it into terms they know because although they maybe are learning how to cure cancer, they don't know how to build a wall.
Hmm.
Hmm.
It's so different, and that's it can be very difficult if you don't figure out their language, because there can be a lot of miscommunication.
For sure.
The other really cool thing I think you were talking about is, and it never really, I never thought about it like this, but people a lot of the time probably have the wrong idea about facilities managers and what they do. Like some people might just think that a facilities manager is a person that goes around and changes light bulbs or does whatever, and it's like could not be further from the truth. These people work with engineers and massive construction projects and all of that. People might have the wrong idea about what people like you do.
Mm.
I agree. And I don't know that the industry makes it any easier because you can be a facilities manager and you can change light bulbs. And you can be a facilities manager and never touch a wrench, right? Like me, I'm not out there touching things. So the industry, it doesn't make it easy to figure that out. But 90% of the time, I'm not fixing things. Actually, 100%. I'm never fixing something physically. I'm really just making the decisions behind the scenes so that you don't notice I'm there.
Mm.
And it is really tough decisions. Right now, I mentioned to you guys earlier that we're doing a construction project in my buildings. I have 3 buildings, and this construction project is right in the middle of it. And in order to tie in a lot of the existing infrastructure to the new stuff, we have to do shutdowns. And that's shutdowns of steam or chilled water or an electrical panel. And we're shutting it down in my existing building to tie in. And I'm constantly making decisions like, can we do this? How does it impact the researchers? When's the best time to do this? If we don't do this, what does the construction schedule look like? How does it delay them? What are their financial implications? We do it on our end. Is their grant going to be delayed? It's like you're constantly thinking about how things have to work together to protect everyone. And that's tough. So nobody ever gets out without impact. It's just minimizing the impact so that it's a little more tolerable for everyone.
Mm. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we got a couple minutes left here, and we try to ask one question, and it's at the end of what I sent you over. It's if someone was a part of your team for a week, what would they know you for?
You guys are gonna laugh because it's my favorite thing to say, but it is my soft skills. Genuinely, I know facilities is really technical, but I find that the real work happens within the conversations that you have with people, more so especially when things go wrong. And that wasn't accidental for me to learn. I intentionally have built this skill set because I realized early on that technical knowledge, it will get me credibility in the field, but it's not going to build trust. The communication for me is what's going to build trust with people. So I've worked on staying calm under pressure, and I've worked on over communicating instead of under communicating, and I've worked on understanding other people, like the occupant's perspective or a vendor's perspective, instead of just defending the system. And I think that's really my advantage in this role, because you can solve a mechanical issue, but if you're mishandling the human side, you're going to create a different type of problem. And I take that part just as seriously. So you would probably hear them say I talk too much, and I send too many emails, and I am constantly in somebody's lab space and bothering people. But it is all intentional, I promise. And it goes further than you think.
Yeah. No, I think that's vital. That's good. Yeah. Jeff, anything else?
No, I think that's cool because a lot of people would answer the opposite. They talk, well, I know this and I know that and I know how to do this and how construction projects work or whatever. But talking about the person behind the role, right, I think is fun and very cool.
Yeah. I mean, I think, and I don't know if you guys hire subcontractors or anything, but when I was in the mechanical industry and I knew people were hiring me as a sub or, on a service project, they have a million people to choose from. They're going to pick the person that they like the most, probably regardless of cost, because when I'm going to hire someone now in my role, I pick the person who's easiest to work with, who makes my life easier, and it's one less thing on my plate. I don't pick the person who knows the most, because honestly, if you have that job, you really you probably all know about the same. So
Mm.
I think standing out from other people in any role, across any trade, is incredibly important.
Hmm. Yeah, we do like a training for sales a lot, and that's the main thing is you want to be respected. You want to be the person that they can trust the most. That they you might not be the lowest cost, but you'll be the person that they can go to and actually trust what you have to say to them and enjoy working with them. So that's good. I like
Yeah,
that.
and I think services in your everyday life beyond facilities and construction. I don't know. I'm a female, so right, my nails or my hair or whatever. I don't know what you guys get done, but I don't always pick the cheapest person. I pick the person who I can sit there for an hour and a half and deal with because I
Mm.
have no choice. I have to talk to them.
Yeah.
It's like it carries over into everything in your life.
Yeah, when I get my hair cut from my barber, it's definitely someone that I can talk to because it's always awkward. You don't know where to look, and
Right? Could you
Yep.
imagine if you like couldn't stand someone and you had to sit there for like an hour and it's super weird.
yeah,
I don't like it. I've
yeah,
done it before and it's really, really weird.
yeah.
So
Awesome.
think of that when you're dealing with people. Just be
Yeah.
someone they like.
Awesome, Jeff. You got anything else?
No, I'm good. I just thank you very much. I appreciate it. It's been a fun conversation.
Thank you guys for having me. This was amazing. It's
Yeah,
such a great idea. I can't wait to see what else you do.
yeah. I appreciate it. Yeah, thanks for coming on, and we appreciate all the vulnerability and the information that you shared, and just sharing part of your life with everyone. And I think it'll really be helpful. So we appreciate it.
Yeah. Thanks, guys.
All right, awesome. Well, we'll see you. Thank
All
you.
right.
All right.
Have a great weekend.
You
Thanks
too.
again.
Bye.
Bye.